Be Your Light, the introduction. In this noisy, crowded world, where value is measured by likes and success by applause, maintaining your inner light becomes an heroic act. People have become so caught up in the external spotlight, panting to be seen and remembered, that they've forgotten that the greatest light is not seen by the eye, it shines from the heart. Be your own light, not because the world needs you, but because your soul needs to shine. When you stop seeking validation from others, your true journey begins toward faith fulfillment, toward tranquility that is not shaken by an opinion, nor extinguished by ignorance. The light I mean is not distinction or fame, but purity of intention, that small light that ignites in your chest when you say, "Oh Allah, make my work for you, not for anyone else." Every human being is born with the flame of this light within him, but it dims when he lives to please people, and flourishes when he lives to please God. Many shine on the outside, but extinguish the inside. They smile to everyone, but their hearts are dull. They shine in the eyes, but are absent in themselves. Others, their names are unknown, and they are not referred to, yet God knows them, because they worked in silence and were sincere without expecting reward from humans. These are the ones who learned how light can be worship, and how simplicity can be a path to God. To be your own light means to come to terms with your weakness, to understand that your value doesn't increase when people see you, nor does it decrease when they're gone. It means to smile because you know where you get your sustenance from and who brings you peace every morning. To be your own light means to trust that God sees you when you work in silence, hears you when you have nothing to say, and provides you with hidden energy when you think you're done. Light is not in proving yourself to the world, but in being honest with yourself before God. Light is not in many words, but in the purity of the heart that is silent at the right time, does good in secret, and moves forward steadily without waiting for applause. This book is not about success as people promote it, but about success as God sees it. It is not about achieving glory, but about achieving purity. It is an invitation to extinguish the noise of comparison and reclaim your inner voice, that whisper that quietly tells you, you are enough as you are, because God created you with His light, so do not look for it in the eyes of others. Be your own light, and plant your own radiance in your path. The light that comes from you is the truest thing you have in this existence.
Chapter 1. Don't wait for someone to enlighten you. In a moment of darkness, when the colors fade in your eyes, and all sounds become a single noise, you will understand that waiting for someone to enlighten you is nothing but a postponement of your birth from within. Light does not come from outside, nor does it descend with applause. Rather, it is born deep within you, when you choose to rise even though no one is watching. Every human being carries within them a hidden sun seed, but it remains dormant as long as you search for a light that defines you instead of defining yourself. We often get lost in people's mirrors, extending our hands outward, seeking validation or a word of admiration that ignites certainty within us, only to be extinguished whenever those hands move away. True light cannot be borrowed, because if it is born from someone other than you, it dies with its departure. When people love you, they may light your way a little, but when God loves you, He lights up the whole way for you. So seek that light, not the light of praise, but the light of closeness. Not the light of faces, but the light of the face that never sets. Whoever knows God no longer fears the darkness, because every darkness is for him a new opportunity to see the face of light within himself. Consider a tiny flower that grew in a crack in a rock. It didn't wait for heavy rain or soft soil, yet it blossomed because within it was the seed of life. Likewise, if you knew that God had placed light within you, you wouldn't wait for anyone to water it, because light needs nothing but faith to grow. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance, but rather your certainty that God doesn't create a void within you in vain. Every talent, every weakness, every pain is part of your divine design to shine, not to be the same. Stars don't compete for the light. Each shines in its own time and space. People will talk, they will praise or criticize, but they only see the shell. You alone know how many prayers have lifted you up in secret, and how many tears have purified your soul until you smile for no reason. That is true light. When you have nothing to shine on the outside, but you shine from within with a confidence and serenity that God knows. Always remember,
Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Whoever is connected to the source of light does not fear a power outage. Start with yourself, with your intention, with a small moment of honesty between you and God. Don't wait for people to understand you. It's enough for God to understand you. In the end, light isn't something you own, but rather a state you create. Be yourself, with all your weaknesses, mistakes, and sincere striving toward God, and the light will find its way to you. Stop seeking recognition from others, not because you don't deserve appreciation, but because when you tie your worth to people's perceptions, you'll live captive to their fickle mirrors. How many souls were capable of flying but sat waiting for applause that never came? And how many inner lights have dimmed because their owner thought that light can only be seen when others do? Light cannot be imported or borrowed. It is the spark that is born within you when you make peace with yourself, when you believe that God did not create you imperfect, waiting for someone else to complete you, but rather perfect in your own way, with your shortcomings, your silence, and your weakness that fosters true striving. The less you rely on praise, the purer your light becomes, because your intention becomes purely for God, not for looks. The light of false dazzle is like lightning. It astonishes you for a moment, then leaves you in deeper darkness. It is the light that tempts you to appear instead of being, to shine on the outside while the inside is extinguished. It is a different kind of light. It does not warm you. It does not guide you, but rather consumes you. Beware of wasting your life in attracting attention and neglecting to look into your heart where God dwells. When you know you are enough, don't act arrogant, but calm down. Confidence doesn't shout, and faith doesn't need an audience. It's enough to do your work perfectly and end your day satisfied with yourself, not because anyone said well done, but because you said it to yourself in secret. God sees what people don't. He alone knows how many times you resisted your urge to show off and were content to be seen by Him. And it is He who will reward you with the light that never goes out, the light of tranquility, the light of contentment, the light of sincerity. Always remember, true success is not being applauded, but prostrating in gratitude when no one is watching. The light that comes from God needs no witnesses, because it emanates from pure certainty, not from an eye that admires or denies.
Chapter 2. Your Lamp in Your Heart. There is nothing outside that can enlighten you more than what God has placed within you. That light that resides in reassurance, when you feel that you are in the right place, even if no one understands you. True light cannot be bought with applause, nor borrowed from the eyes. Rather, it is derived from an inner certainty that God is with you, and that every step you take with pure intention illuminates your path, even if the light does not appear to you yet. The faithful heart needs no external light, for it possesses an inextinguishable divine lamp. But this lamp is lit only by sincerity and flourishes only by intention. When you work for God, not for people, your actions become purer, your words more truthful, and your efforts more blessed. Pure intention is the oil that nourishes your inner light. How many people have lived striving toward success, yet never felt at peace because they focused on results instead of making God their goal? How many others have lived in complete simplicity, yet their features radiate light because their hearts are connected to the source, steadfast in one intention, to please God? When you make faith your guide, every small act turns into an act of worship. Even your smile, your patience, your silence become a ray of light that dispels the darkness around you without you even saying a word. The light in the heart doesn't need to be announced. It's enough to be seen in your behavior, your honesty, and your kindness. When you work for God, you don't fear failure, because the results are not in your hands, but in the hands of the one who knows your intentions. You become more reassured because you are not obsessed with perfection, but with sincerity. Faith does not eliminate challenges, but it plants within you a serenity that makes you see them with a different eye, an eye that sees not obstacles, but messages, and not slowness, but wisdom. Always remember that the path to God is not lit by the lamps of others, but by one lamp in your heart. The more you nourish it with intention, the brighter it shines. Every morning, give yourself a moment of honesty with God, as if you were lighting a new candle in your heart and saying, "O Lord, make this day a light for me, not against me, and make my work purely for you." When you do that, no word will extinguish you, no look will shake you, because your light does not come from outside. It will remain within you, even in the dark, and it will always guide you to what is good, because whoever walks with a pure intention will never lose his way.
Chapter 3. Purity needs no justification. In a world full of voices, silence becomes an act of worship. In a time when intentions are measured by the number of words, purity becomes the greatest form of strength. You don't have to explain your heart to people, nor justify your purity to those who haven't learned to see through the light. Light doesn't raise its voice to prove that it is shining. It is enough for it to shine. Many will be misunderstood because they choose clarity without shouting, honesty without arguing, and kindness without expecting anything in return. But God knows what's in the hearts, and it's enough that your intentions are pure between you and Him. What's the value of the world understanding you if you lose yourself to please them? Purity does not mean weakness, but rather having the energy to forgive in a time when everyone is carrying the swords of suspicion. Choosing peace over conflict, remaining silent when silence is wise, and responding to insults with prayer rather than anger. That purity is the highest degree of maturity, because you no longer seek to prove anything. Rather, you are not afraid of being misunderstood. There comes a moment when a believer reaches a profound certainty that he doesn't need to justify his intentions, because only God sees them with complete clarity. When you understand this, your soul becomes light, like a bird that carries only what pleases its Lord. Every time you are wronged, resist the urge to defend yourself. Raise your heart, not your voice, and repeat to yourself, "O God, you know." That honest whisper is more powerful than 1,000 justifications because it sums up your relationship with the world in one sentence: God is sufficient as a witness. When you remain silent about an argument, it doesn't mean you're powerless, but rather that you've risen above the need for human victory. Silence here isn't a withdrawal, but rather a deeper presence, the presence of light that doesn't need an announcement to be seen. Sometimes, shining quietly is more eloquent than 1,000 speeches in the dark. Practice silence as you practice purity. Set aside an hour in your day to turn off all sounds and sit with yourself, as if you were sitting on the bank of a clear river. Watch your thoughts pass by like clouds, and don't cling to them. After that hour, you will find your heart purer, your inner voice clearer, and your peace deeper. In that purity, you will discover that true light is not born from words, but from the silence that connects with God. And when you learn to be silent with love, you will realize that your purity needs no justification, for God sees the light before the eyes do.
Chapter 4. When people turn you off, shine brighter. There will come a day when someone's word extinguishes your enthusiasm, or a cold look casts doubt on your light, or a small mockery leaves a deep mark on your heart. This will happen because light hurts those who live in darkness, but don't let their pain be the reason for your extinguishment. Instead, let it be fuel that reminds you of who you truly shine for. Not everyone who sees you is able to understand you. Sometimes your silence is a source of confusion for them. Your kindness is a source of ridicule, and your insistence on doing good is evidence of your naivete in their eyes. But God, who sees your intentions, knows that your light is not weakness, but a gentle steadfastness, like the steadfastness of the moon when clouds try to obscure it. They may obscure it for a moment, but no one can extinguish its light. Learn to keep your sparkle despite the dust, to smile despite the coldness, and to say inside, "O Lord, grant me a light that people cannot extinguish." That prayer alone is enough to provide you with inexplicable energy, with a light that does not come from outside. The strongest kind of resilience is quiet resilience, to stand firm without shouting, to continue your work without explaining, and to complete your path without paying attention to those who throw words at you. That is what I call gentle resilience, to remain human despite everything that tries to harden you. Don't respond to ridicule with anger, nor to ignorance with justification. Shine brighter. Smile when you're expected to break. Forgive when you're expected to take revenge, and move toward your goal as if you're walking a path paved with confidence. When you choose the light, you don't triumph over people, but over the darkness within you. Whenever you face harsh criticism or unfair discouragement, remember that people don't talk about you as you are, but as they are. The light reveals what's in them, not what's in you. So don't let their words be your measure. Instead, let your faith in God be the mirror through which you see yourself. When you feel like you've been extinguished, sit for a while, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, "O God, make me one of those who, when they are broken, shine again." Then get up and start over. The light that comes from faith never goes out, but rather returns each time, purer, calmer, and stronger.
Chapter 5. Calm is the power of light. In a world of turmoil, staying calm is a rare courage. People think the loudest voice is the strongest,
But the truth is that true strength is staying still when everyone is agitated, maintaining your balance when anger is tossing you around, and responding to chaos with calm. Calmness is not weakness or withdrawal, but rather a form of faith. Whoever knows God will be calm. Whoever is certain that destiny is in his hand, glory be to him, will not panic. Whoever trusts that everything has a wisdom will not rush into judgment, nor will he be excessively afraid. When you're calm, you see clearly, but when you get emotional, you lose your direction and turn yourself off. Calm isn't just a physical state, but a spiritual energy that rearranges you from within, as if you're saying to your heart, "Calm down. God is planning things better than you think." Consider how the universe moves quietly. The sun rises without noise, rivers patiently carve the rocks, and light doesn't cry out when it shines. True strength is always silent. It lies in your steadfastness in the face of temptation, in your patience in the face of provocation, in your smile while you're able to respond. When you lose your calm, don't regret it, but learn. Every emotion is a mirror that reveals to you what is not yet healed within you. Instead of punishing yourself, approach yourself gently and ask, "What really hurt me?" This question alone is enough to bring you back to your senses, because calmness does not mean being unaffected, but rather choosing how to respond. Calmness is also an act of worship. To remain silent when someone angers you, thus surrendering the matter to God. To postpone a word that might hurt, thus gaining your peace. To smile when fate tests you, because you know that God is not testing you to hurt you, but to mature you. When you master the art of calmness, your heart becomes like a lamp whose oil is patience and whose light is contentment. It does not go out in the face of the winds, but rather grows clearer in the storm. Whoever has God as their support does not need to cry out to prove their existence. They know that their light is sufficient and that nothing threatens those who rely on the truth. At the end of the day, sit in complete stillness. Turn off the lights and review your day as the heart reviews its pulse. Write down what made you lose your calm today, then forgive it. Forgive people, life, and yourself, because whoever forgives shines, and whoever is calm hears God more clearly.
Chapter 6. Intention is the first flame. At the beginning of every light, there is an intention, and at the origin of every movement in existence, there is a hidden purpose pulsating with life. Intention is not a passing thought, but rather the initial spark that ignites the fire of meaning in your actions. Many move unconsciously, working, striving, and speaking, but they forget to ask themselves, "For whom am I doing this, and why?" When your intention is for God, everything you do turns into an act of worship. Your smile, your effort, your sweat, and even your patience. Nothing is wasted when your intention is pure, because God does not waste any work that comes from a sincere heart. Sincerity is not a word, but a hidden energy that transforms fatigue into light and turns a stumble into a step toward closeness. Every sincere intention is like a tiny candle in a sea of darkness. It doesn't matter how strong the wind is, because it draws its power from an unearthly source. Sincerity is what keeps a person steady when the world around them shakes, and reassured when direction is lost. When your intention is sincere, the path becomes clear, even if you don't see all its details. You begin to feel things falling away to make way for you, doors opening at the right moment, and even mistakes leading you to the right path. This is because God guides those who are sincere to Him, and their feet never go astray, no matter how winding the path may be. The beauty of intention is that it doesn't need applause, nor does it need to be told to anyone. It is between you and God. It is the secret that your Lord knows before you utter it. Every new day is an opportunity to renew that intention, to say to yourself, "O God, make this day for you alone, not for show or reputation, but rather for love and sincerity." When you do this, you will see that life smiles at you in a different way. You will find blessing in simplicity, comfort in patience, and wisdom in every step. You no longer seek appreciation from people, because when you work for God, His pleasure becomes the greatest reward. Practical exercise. Choose one intention for today, whether small or big. It could be, "O Allah, make me a reason for someone's happiness," or, "O Allah, strengthen me in my prayers with humility." Then direct all your actions and words toward that intention. At the end of the day, sit with yourself and ask yourself, "Have I preserved my flame, or has it been extinguished in the crowd?" Every pure intention is a small flame in your heart. Protect it with remembrance of God and nourish it with sincerity, because intention is the first fire that lights your path to God.
Chapter 7. Light up your mark. There is a light that makes no sound, that does not ask to be seen, yet fills the space with warmth and peace. It is the light of the silent ones who work for God in secret, without wearing medals on their hearts. These are the ones who walk the earth with a light that people do not see, but that heaven knows and blesses. In a time filled with noise, silence has become a rare form of worship, and a hidden action has become greater than 1,000 words spoken. Everything you hide for the sake of God, God will reveal in due time. Every good thing you do not mention, the angels write it down in the pages of light without you knowing. True light does not need to be announced. It is enough that it exists. It is enough that it shines from where it is not seen. Silence here is not a sign of weakness, but rather a sublime strength that only those filled with certainty can master. Those who truly know God do not compete in words, but in action. They do not expend their energy on justification or showing off, because they know that God sees, and that sincere intentions do not need an audience to bear fruit. You plant a seed deep in the ground. You don't see it, but it's there, working in silence, making its way toward the light. Likewise, when you work in secret with sincerity, you plant seeds in your soul that will sprout goodness in due time, even if no one applauds. How many small deeds that people did not see were great in the sight of God, and how many dim lights in the corners of life were a reason for illuminating the path of many hearts. Silence doesn't mean withdrawing from life, but rather working deeply without polluting your purity with noise. To give and to forgive without expecting recognition or a response. It is the logic of hidden work that bears fruit without announcement, because the roots of light are always underground, not above it. When you learn to shine with your silence, your soul becomes lighter, and the good in you becomes a habit, not a show. You become closer to God because you no longer seek to be looked at, but rather to behold His noble face. Practical exercise. Do a good deed that no one knows about. Give a secret charity. Say a kind word anonymously, or help someone without identifying yourself. Then look into your heart afterward. You will feel a calm light unlike anything else, because God alone has seen you, and it is enough for Him that He has seen.
Conclusion. Be your light. Don't wait for someone to light your way. The one who gave you the Spirit has placed its light within you from the beginning. All you have to do is remove the dust from it, to believe that true light does not come from outside, but rather rises from the depths of the believing heart. Be your light when everything around you dims. Be your radiance when the sun sets and the shadows grow heavy. For light is not a deferred promise, but rather an inner decision to see God in everything you go through. To understand that stumbles are not darkness, but rather opportunities to rediscover your glow. What is for God remains. What is done in secret bears immeasurable blessings. God sees what is not said, hears your whisper when you struggle in silence, and rewards the small step you take toward Him, even if you stumble 1,000 times before that. Don't wait for dawn, be its light. Look for the light within you, not around you. And whenever you feel the darkness increasing, remember that the light is always closer than you think, just waiting for you to turn your face towards it. God does not abandon those who shine in His path, nor does He forget those who work in silence for Him. Make your heart a beacon, your walk a prayer, and your work an ongoing charity of light. In the end, no one enlightens you like God does. As long as you draw your light from Him, it will never go out.